I know I'm a little bit behind here, but we need to talk about what's in and out in 2024 therapy edition. We're going to jump right into it because a lot of you are ghosting your therapist. That is out. We are no longer ghosting our therapist. We are going to commit to therapy. And if we need to stop, we're going to communicate our feelings with our therapist and let them know we're stopping. Secondly, along those same lines, we're not canceling therapy because we are nervous what will be brought up. You know who I'm talking to here. Look, I get it. Therapy is pretty nerve-wracking. We are literally going into the deepest, darkest, potentially depths of your soul and bringing a lot of things up. But we're doing it because we want to help you because you need it. So if you're feeling the need to cancel therapy, don't cancel therapy. We're also not going to forget our therapy homework. We know, as therapists, we know if you're like, oh, I forgot my therapy homework every single time. This is also out. Avoiding bringing the thing that you were going to therapy for until the last second possible. Like I get, it feels really good to avoid it, but it feels even worse to get it out the very last second and then have no resolve. At least that feels really bad for us as therapists. We're like, we needed to help, but now we can't. So stop it. Holding grudges that harm us. It's out. It's out. I get it. Sometimes we need to hold grudges to like keep boundaries, but if the grudges are just harming us and don't actually impact the person, but like, or are impacting our own personal feelings, like, that's out. We need to get rid of those because the only person they are impacting is ourselves, and that's not helpful for anyone. Y'all are not going to be too excited about this next one, but what's out? Surrounding ourselves with people or activities that harm us. Like some of y'all are gluttons for punishment and will keep surrounding yourselves with the same things over and over again that you know are causing you harm. That's out. That's literally a form of self-harm. Now I get it. This is more nuanced than it is. And like, this is not bringing up addictions or attachment. And like, yes, I totally recognize and understand that. But when we can control it, we're out. It's out. Next, sticking with a therapist just because you are too scared to start over. Therapy is such a unique and personalized process that if you are not feeling comfortable with your therapist, it's okay. End it. Don't ghost them. But you're allowed to communicate that you're needing to end and move on to someone else. Now, I know I'm calling y'all all out with this next one, drinking 3 cups of coffee without food and wondering why you're anxious. Like, girl, that's why. Lastly, what is out? Shaming yourself that you are not where you want to be. Therapy and healing takes work, my friend. It takes time. It takes effort. It takes persistence. And if you're not where you're wanting to be, that is okay. There is grace for that. It's out. It's out. Now let's get into our ins. Actually showing up to therapy. Doing the work. Showing up. Being ready for therapy as much as you can, of course. That is in. Next, being raw and honest with your emotions. Ooh, that is hot. It is helpful to be raw and honest with what is going on because that's where you get a lot of progress. Body scans. We love a good body scan. It helps ground us, keep us centered, and also keep us somatically aware of what we are experiencing. Similarly, grounding that works for you. Now I say for you because grounding is really personal. Like deep breathing may work for one person and not for another. The 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 might work for one person, not for another. Find what grounding strategies work for you and commit to that. What's also in? Wearing comfies to therapy. You gotta be comfortable in therapy. That's like the best. If you're showing up like all dolled up, it's not true therapy. You gotta be like looking gross and in sweats and just like that's the best way to do it. Speaking of coming as you are, both like in everyday life and into therapy, coming as you are without having to try, just like accepting that it changes everything. This is all kind of like on trend because we're now meeting ourselves where at without judgment. So this means showing up as we are without judgment of ourselves, being kind to ourselves in the process, and yeah, again, changes everything. Chef's kiss. Now, we talked about what was out was having to stick with a therapist that doesn't serve you, but what's in? Finding a therapist that does work for you. Like we said, therapy is pretty personalized, so it's important for you to find someone that like works to support you in the ways you need to be supported. Along the therapy lines, we are really wanting to discover and work towards your treatment goals. Now, you can do this by yourself or with a therapist or like with a partner or whoever else, but really think through what goals you have for your treatment, for therapy, or just like self-improvement, and commit to working towards that. Now, committing doesn't mean putting pressure on yourself to achieving them, but it means I'm committing to put the effort in, which is why therapy is really helpful because you have a person to help you not only keep you accountable with it, but help you find realistic ways to achieve those goals. 2 more ends. One of the next ones is where am I going? Okay. Practicing true mindfulness and somatic work. There I am. Okay, what I mean by true mindfulness and somatic work is true mindfulness is meeting yourself where you're at without judgment, not changing a thing, but coming as you are. And when we practice that with somatic work is basically how your brain and body are connecting and how you're listening to your body to give you cues to what your brain is telling you. And when we can practice these two in conjunction with each other, it changes our level of acceptance and lets us be able to achieve what we want to achieve in a way that gives us grace for when we need to achieve it, if that makes sense. It's like the kindest possible version of ourselves we can be to ourselves. And last one of my favorites is loving your little victories. This is like my Instagram handle. It is what I'm passionate about. It's finding the little things in life that mean something to you, that support you, that show you that you are taking steps where you want to be. When we learn to love our little victories, it helps create this acceptance of ourselves and this pride that we have. It helps increase our self-esteem. It helps with so many different areas of life. I certainly cannot move my little head anymore, but this is our in list of 2024. If you have any more outs or ins, therapeutic edition, post them in the comments. I want to see them. Oh, and one more in for 2024 therapeutic edition. Follow therapists on your social media platforms to remind you to practice what you are learning in therapy, to remind you to ground, to remind you to check in and love yourself more. And if you need a therapist to follow, my name is Maddie. I'm a therapist here on TikTok and on Instagram, and I would love to have you be part of this community.